You ready?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome everyone. Some of you already know Dan IHARA. He's been a couple times now, guest speaker on our team meetings. So mega agent and Gary Keller's mastermind out of Honolulu.
Yes,
That's right. So we're so excited to have him here. He's agreed graciously to help us secure more listings with the wealthy.
Yay.
I think we all want to go there, right? So fantastic. Dan, I'll let you take
appreciate it. Thanks,
So,
John.
no problem.
Okay, so just to get a lay of the land for me at least, how many of you have been in business more than 5 years? Okay, great. How many of you are in teams? Okay, good. How many of you have clients that are wealthy? Okay, how many of you want clients who are wealthy? Okay, good. Okay, I got that all right. Very good. All right, let's just get started.
It's like,
It's working earlier.
All right, try.
There we go. Okay, we're going to give away, actually, we're not going to scan this. For those of you who signed in, if you sign in at the end of this, we're going to give away these little gifts here, these chocolate macaroni tea things. So if you can sign in at the end, we're going to give those away because I'm not taking them home. Okay, and because I have a whole suitcase full of this stuff. So you're going to take that home. All right, so I just want to introduce myself. I've been in business for 17 years. We have a large team in Hawaii. There's 22 of us on our team. We did about $97 million this last year. We grew rapidly over time, and I'll show you a growth chart that our progression in business. We were really honored to be the fastest 50 growing companies in our state 2 years in a row, which is really, I think there's only one other company that did that in our state. So we grew really rapidly through this model that you're going to see today. I'm also an investor in Kelly Rooms Maui and in Oahu. So if you come out, please let us know. We'd love to take you around and show you our beautiful island. We also started this thing called the Complete Solution. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm kind of crazy. I kind of think of too many different things, have too many ideas. So I started as a real estate agent, and then about 12 years ago, I started a company called Senior Move Managers and Declutter Hawaii. So Senior Move Managers and Declutter Hawaii was the solution for an older adult who wants to transition, but they're stuck because they're stuck with their stuff. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Because if you can be the solution to their stuff, then they will likely sell. So 12 years ago, I looked around and there was no companies like that in my market, in our state. So I created my own. So now we've moved over 1,500 families, and that became a referral source for us. We get 1 or 2 of these a week now from that business. So that business is something that you want to meet into. So if you want to write this one down, NASM, NASMM, NASMM, the National Association of Senior Move Managers. They're here in Sacramento. They're normally pretty small mom and pop operations, but those are the guys that will go in and help you serve your clients at a high level and help them declutter their home in preparation of selling. Okay.
Can you say what it was one more time?
NASMM, National Association of Senior Move Managers. Senior Move Managers, yeah. And so we started doing that. We started helping people declutter. This year, we started a cleaning company. About 5 years ago, we started a property management firm. And then over the last 5 years, we started doing coaching. And most recently, we started doing construction management consulting. So at this point, we're actually building a new home. We're pouring next week on a $1.4 million production cost of a home that I partner with a contractor, and we're building this house together. But I provide that service to all of our clients too. So if somebody says, hey, I want to sell, but then I want to do all these things, I say to them, we can help you. And added on to that, I've actually started a small line of hard money lending as well. So if somebody comes to me and says, well, I want to do all this work, but gosh, are you going to pay for that? So, no, it's not my house. You're going to pay for it. So, well, I want to do it, but I don't have money. And so I say to them, well, here's the invoice. If you want to do this scope of work, here's how much it costs. And they say to me, well, I don't have the money. Then I said to them, well, for 10%, I'll pay that bill for you and I'll take it out of escrow. Right. So then I make another 10% on top of that. So there's ways that you can monetize this model that we built. And you're going to hear more about that today. Yes.
Do you charge for services such as decluttering and cleaning, or is that part of your listing?
No. So the decluttering and cleaning, those are separate entities that our client pays for.
Okay.
Now I'll fund it as well. Right? If they sign a listing agreement, they promise that they're going to pay me and I'm going to have a note to that basically. Right. But to answer your question, that's not my money. It's not my house.
Okay.
So the client's going to pay for that. So that's kind of the complete solution as it is today, and it's still working. We also have a nonprofit. Gary challenged us all to have nonprofits. So ours is called Silver Spoons. It's to help our older adults who can't help themselves. Because our business has grown because of the service to the wealthy, the older wealthy. There's a large of 16,000 seniors in Hawaii today that are living in state housing. And like we get calls from the state because they're going to kick them out because it's not safe. So we basically pay for that. We fund it. So 10% of all the businesses that we have, the profit goes into the nonprofit and serves our community at a high level to help them transition life. All right. Stop me if you have any questions. All right. So imagine this scenario. You have both the adults and they have problems too, right? So, the first problem is, where do I go if my house doesn't fit? Right. I don't want to deal with the paperwork and taxes. And then, oh my gosh, what about the family? Have you seen scenarios like this before in your market? Yeah, it's pretty common, right? So the three major problems is, one, their home's not appropriately funded. Okay. Something's going to happen. Something is going to happen. So, like the picture on the top, what are they looking at? Large two-story home. It's just one or two people in 18 to 3,500 square feet. Right? It's just too big. They will come to a point in time that they're going to realize that it's not working for them. Okay. And either that, or if there's a physical ailment of some sort. Right. The other is they wealthy have investment property. Would you agree? Yeah, the target market is the wealthy older adult, not just seniors, but the seniors with real estate, because that's our business. Okay. So if you're focusing on the wealthy older adult, they have investment properties. Over time, they've amassed wealth through this. And what they found is over time is they just don't want to do it anymore. See, because they don't need the money. They have more money than they can spend. Now it's a burden. Now they have an asset sitting there that they're going to manage. They're going to worry about the tenants and the termites and the toilets and all that garbage and the taxes, right? Where they don't want to deal with it anymore. They want to simplify life. And then family disputes. How many of you have heard of a family who fought over real estate after mom and dad died? Everybody, right? Everybody, right? Well, today you're going to learn a solution that you'll be able to employ today in your business to help you solve that problem, right? And get that next listing. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the market. Now, I'm going to talk really fast because it's a 4-hour class and I got 2 hours. Okay. So we're going to talk about the senior market, why it's important. We're going to talk about relocation services. What we coined 10 years ago called senior living options. We started our first senior seminar and it's called Senior Living Options. And today it's still the same. Senior living. Because seniors want to know their options if their home doesn't fit them. We're going to talk about managing the real estate assets, other assets that they own that they don't live in, right? We're going to talk about securing listings with the wealthy older adult. And then lastly, we're going to tie it up in a bow is how do you become the real estate planner? You see, this is something that over the last year, I've actually built a strong business around it and I get a phone call almost every day on this. And what is the real estate planner? Well, for the wealthy all have a financial planner, would you agree? Right? That manages their liquid assets. They have an attorney that protects them with their trust and probate. So prevents you from going probate. Your trust is an instruction manual that tells the world how to disperse your assets, right? Then you have a CPA that protects you from the IRS. Let me ask you this question. Who plans your real estate? Nobody. Nobody. Today, you will leave here this meeting with a plan. You will become the real estate planner. And you can use that starting today. All right. So how we started, well, I started just by research. Everything I did, I studied. And everything you see is a compilation of my effort in focusing on the matter to find a solution. You see, because if you can identify a problem and you can bring a solution to it, you will win. You will win. Okay. So today I'm going to show you two problems. One is their home, one is their investment problem. And we're going to share with you all the research that we did to get to this point. Networking with professionals, making a list of financial planners, CPAs, attorneys. I did that. I cold called them. Right? I cold called them. That was I did that before simultaneously as I was calling for a lead to buy or sell. Because I wanted one person that gave me 7 transactions versus 7 people giving me 1 transaction. Right? Becoming a trusted advisor, and then creating these ancillary businesses that you just seen. This is our journey. When I first started, in month 7, I had 7 escrows and I didn't like my job. In fact, I was going to quit in month 7 because I couldn't taste the money, but I could feel the pain of the work. 7 escrows by myself on month 7 as a new agent. And finally, I told my wife, you got to come and help me. And she's very demanding. So she said, well, if you have X number in pipeline, X number closed, next time we're in escrow, I'll come and join you. And 6 months later, she joined. And she likes to point out, this is her, this is me, this is her, this is her. Yeah. Okay. And then we started growing. We started doing 1031 exchange seminars because we knew that the wealthy had real estate. And this brought it up to the surface of, wow, these people have a lot of problems. We had clients 15, 16, 17 properties all over the country, right? The good news is we're the largest real estate company in the world. And you're going to have friends everywhere in the country because you're going to be able to help them with this. We started doing investment seminars, how to buy and flip, how to buy and hold properties. Then I joined Keller Williams. Actually, it was 2013. And then our growth took off because we learned models, systems, and tools that we employed in our business. We took a small dip there. This is where I was expanding. I took the ESO model and I went to Southern California, and I took my eye off the ball and I had a small dip here in 16, not much. We built more systems, and when COVID hit, the government said, nobody come to Hawaii. Right. So obviously we had a little downfall, and we picked it back up. And our goal this last year was 27 million. This year we're shooting at target of 1. So what is the importance of this market? We're going to talk about that. So the silent generation is a 74 years and older. Okay, this generation is different. This is like my parents. Okay, I'm a baby boomer. Most of you are too young to be a baby boomer. There's a few of you that are. Right. So my parents, I'm the youngest of the baby boomer generation, and they're just really hardworking. I mean, they're very respectful. They don't use computers much, right? They're not techie. They rather shake a hand versus sign a DocuSign. Okay, so know that when you deal with somebody like that, don't get frustrated when they don't want to DocuSign something. Expect the fact that you might have to go drive and face them face to face and shake their hand and have them sign something. That's just the way it is. Right? So if you embrace that kind of client, you'll be able to serve them at a higher level. Right? They're very thrifty. My mom, so I'm the youngest of 6. My father was a colonel in the Army. He was one of the first Asian full colonels in the United States Army back in the 70s. My mom used to make me cut napkins in half. That's how resourceful she is. Okay. And I was thinking, Mom, you do know I'm going to use 2 of those, right? Right. But she made me cut them, and as an obedient son, I cut them on Saturdays. That's what I did. It's pretty wild, right? So that's who this generation is. Now, baby boomers, they work hard because they were trained to work hard, right? Our parents made us work. We're self-assured, we're goal-centric, we're very disciplined, and now our parents, we see it through the lens of our growing up, right? And so my parents, someone went through the Great Depression, so they saved everything. So when you go to an older person's home, 70, 80, 90 years old, you go to their older's home, you're going to find that they've collected a few things over time. We had a client that was 89 years old, and she lived in her home 89 years, no more. Yes, she had a few things. A 40-foot container of trash is what we dumped out of that. 2 of them. Okay. That big of a stuff. So you're going to have that. That's just part of that. This market is what you're going to face. It's all about having a solution to the problem and how you approach it. Okay? So how big is this market? From ages 50 to 64, 77% own real estate. 77%. But look what happens when you get to 65 and older, 82% own real estate. 82%. That's a large number. Okay. Most of them, it's all paid off, right? They've had it. The 30-year mortgage is done, right? By 2050, 80 million will be over 65. And right now, at 2020, 55 over 65. But here's the thing that I just learned yesterday or 2 days ago. How many people die? That's almost 2 million possible listings in this market over 65. Is this a significant market? Absolutely significant. They're not worried about the market because they have equity. They have a need. They have a requirement to sell because of a life change. These people are waiting for us to provide that level of service. And we built this model to service this demographic. So what's the problem? Well, their home doesn't work, right? And it doesn't work for a number of reasons. They're just tired of handling the rentals. I hear it every day. I don't need it. I'm done. What can I do? I sat on an airplane last night actually, with a lady, just random. I go on the airplane and there's nobody there except one lady. And I'm walking down, I'm looking at my ticket. I'm walking down like, no, this can't be it. I'm going to sit next to the only person in the airplane. How's that? I sit down next to her, like, and she was a small lady. And I sat down next to her, and she started talking, and then she started telling me, ask what I do. How I introduce myself. She said, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm a real estate planner." That's your script. I'm the real estate planner. What is that? Everyone's going to say the same thing. What's that? I help people plan their real estate. I help the wealthy, those with real estate, plan their assets. Can I talk to you? She says, I have 2 properties. One that's about $3 million in Hawaii, and another one in California, not far from here, actually. Can't see. It's about an hour and a half from here. That she's going to sell both of them, and they want to downsize. So she says, my husband's a landscape guy, and he's getting older. We're going to close our business down. We're going to move to California. I need your help. That was in the airplane last night. Imagine how many conversations you can have just by that one script in your real estate plan. So there's 3 perspectives on life, right? There's only 3. So we all of us in this room, as well as older adults, only have 3%. One is, this is how the life is in the past. So you talk to an 80-year-old man, he says, "Oh no, I'm great. I play tennis all the time." And it's, when was the last time you played? No, I don't know, when I was like 40. But in his head, he's still playing tennis, right? So that's the lens. There's people that just cannot let go of the past. Then there's people who look at today and say, "I'm okay today, right? I'm okay today, and I'm going to stay this way for the rest of my life." Well, that's not going to happen. Then there's people that look forward to the future. And this is the conversation I had last night with this lady. He said, exact same conversation I had. And she says, "I'm the proactive guy." She just quickly says, "That's not me. I'm going to create a plan. I need to talk." See, that's going to flush out opportunity. Because somebody who's living in the past, frankly, you're not going to help them. You're not going to help them until they realize that they got to do this. They got to look to the future. My parents are classic example. 93 and 92 years old. They live in their home together. And for years, this is my business. My parents used to come to my senior living options classes. They would greet people and tell people they should move into retirement communities. And they wouldn't until just now. My dad said, "I think we're ready." See, I had to wait for him to see that this isn't good, that this is better. And you can't ever force somebody to do that. You have to help them self-discover. And you help them self-discover by asking them the questions about life. What do you want life to look like? In your ideal world, what is the next 5 years going to look like? How about 10 years? And usually by 10 years, the guy says, "So I'm not going to be around by then." That's usually what they tell me. Well, then what do you want the end to look like? What kind of life is that? And so getting people in the mindset of looking forward is really how you're going to get people to move. Now, there's 2 types of people. There's a proactive and reactive person, kind of along the same lines, right? The good news is you get to have a choice. It's your choice. Dogs, they don't have a choice. Humans, we got choices, right? We can make our own decision. So what's it going to be? you want to be proactive or reactive? And I actually had these slides are actually in my presentation, by the way. In front of one-on-ones, it's in front of groups, because it gets them to start thinking about, I don't want to be the reactive guy. See? Because the reactive guy, he's going to live in the past and he doesn't want to accept what's going to happen, the inevitable. They don't want to accept that, right? They don't want to make decisions about life and let them happen. They want to end up in an emergency mode. And then their family has to bail them out. And then they put stress on the family. They make their family change their life because of the decisions they made or failed to make to be proactive in how to protect themselves and build a life that is going to show up. And so this is a class, same thing I have in my classes. I'm going to teach this class Saturday when I get back. I'm doing a senior living option class. This is the slide that's going to be in there. And you should see the way they look at it. They say, no, that's not going to be. Even though it is them, they don't want to be that, right? So then I say, well, then your choice is to be proactive, right? So what's proactive? Well, you accept that you're not getting any younger anymore. And you realize that at some point you're going to need care. You're going to need help, right? Because what happens is they're starting to see their family and friends around them going through the same life change. They're starting to see that show up, and they realize when people react to things, bad things show up. And when they're proactive, better things show up. Less risk. They age gracefully with minimal stress, and they allow their loved ones to have the freedom to choose how they want to support them. How they want to support. And then they create a legacy with their real estate. Proactive versus reactive, very simple. Does this make sense? Can you deliver this message to somebody? Pretty simple, right? Yeah, it's a simple concept. Some common disillusions about the future. I'm okay, I won't need help. I'm fine, right? I'm going to live in my house without any help forever. I'm going to die in my house. I tell people, don't die in your house. That's a disclosure item. Go outside and die. That value. My kids are going to take care of me. And my first question is, have you talked to them? Are they willing to stop doing their life and do your life? I don't think I'm going to have enough money. Or I like this, my spouse will go take care of me. That was my mom's story. My dad's going to take care of me.
You better find somebody else.
Yeah, that's right. Right? That's right. Because I'm going to give my property to the children. You ever heard of that one?
What, as a bride to get taken care
Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of people think that, oh, I have a plan, and the plan is just to leave it in the trust and it would go to the kids. Let me ask you this question. How do you divide real estate?
of?
You can't divide it. You have to sell it. You have to sell it. But people think in their head, oh, don't worry, my kids love each other. That's what you think. Okay, so then we started doing senior relocation services, or what we called senior living options, right? And so if somebody says, my house doesn't fit me well, you have a number of options. One, you can age in place. Just stay here, don't do anything, right? You can bring care in. We're going to talk about that. You can move in with family and bring care in. We talk about that. You could downsize to a smaller house. We have many people that are selling and buying. Now it's 2 transactions, right? Downsizing Mars house. You're going to the lady in the airplane last night. That's what she's by a smaller house. Moving to a retirement community, of which I'm a big fan of retirement communities. If you Google retirement communities near you, you're going to find dozens of them. And they're all over that you don't even know they're there. Because that's a solution. And then transition to a care home. A care home is when they're no longer independent, right? They need care. And that's when somebody stays in their home too long, and then all of a sudden they need help, right? They need care, they need food, activities of daily living.
Hi.
Oh. How come that didn't work? John.
That's not.
Hi, I'm Anne. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. 10 years ago, my dad passed away. We took turns checking in on Mom. For a while, Mom was still independent, she seemed healthy, and she did not require much help. But recently, things started going down. You see, Mom's now 84. Although she thinks she can do things on her own, we all know she needs a little more attention. Last week, when I went to check in on her, she was sitting in my bedroom and she seemed, it was just for a few seconds, but the way she looked at me, I could tell something was not right. I'm talking to my siblings about the situation, but no one knows what to do. Is there a better place for mom to live? Where can she go? Would she feel comfortable? How do we do this? How do we help? My brothers Brent and George feel that mom should move to a retirement community. Lucy, my sister, lives in San Jose. She doesn't come home much and thinks we should keep mom where she is and just bring care in. Does she even know how much that would cost? Who's going to pay for that? Brent thinks we should move mom to a retirement community and rent out the house. Who's going to manage that? If we rent out mom's home, will rental income cover the cost of mom's care? George feels that mom would like the retirement and that we should sell the house and the money from the sale pay for mom's long-term care needs. How much can we get from the house? How long will her money last when she sells? And what about capital gains taxes after she no longer claims her home as a primary residence? Me, I have a lot going on myself. I work full-time, I take care of my 3 kids, and I can't imagine all the work involved in getting rid of all the stuff that's in the house. What should we do? Who can help us understand our options? Who can help us move mom and clean out the house? Is there someone who can help us move forward and make sure mom is taken care of?
That's a good idea.
One of our video. It allows them to see it from an observer standpoint. And that's really what you want to do. You want to talk about the situation when you're with somebody as if it's somebody else, not them. Right? If it's somebody else, then they're observing with you. Now they're in alignment to what the real problem is and possible solution. So the first decision is, do I stay at home or do I leave my home, right? And so if they stay at home, sure, you could do that. If somebody comes to me and said, I want to stay in my home, I'm going to lean into this. And what do you think they think of me as a realtor? I'm not money hungry realtor. I really care because I'm going to bring you a solution that's going to serve you. Over time, though, in the conversation, they're going to realize that it's not a good solution. But at least I came to the table with information that should they choose to go that route, they can, and I'm going to support that. So family, it could be family taking care of family. It could be home care services, home health care services, and adult care services. Talk about all of them. So family care can lead to closer relationships between the caregiver and senior. It could, or it could lead to an injury to the parent or the child, right? Moving things. If you're not trained well. Number one, if you're going to take care of somebody, make sure you're trained for mobility, because that's where most of the accidents fall, transfer. Right? Caregiving is leaving somebody's job. So is that person ready to leave the job? Now, if they don't have a job, then that's fine. It can also lead to family division and resentment. And this is very common. I mean, I would say 90% of the time, that's going to show up. That's going to show up. Why? Because somebody's gave up their life for somebody else. And what about the other brothers and sisters and everything? There's going to be resentment. Mom and dad, believe it or not, created resentment by having their child support them. Because the resentment that child has affects all the other siblings. You see that? Yeah, that will happen. But so when I talk about it, they don't even think about it until I bring it up. They go, oh, they don't like each other already. Maybe that's not a good idea. And then the question is, how do I pay this person? Do I pay them? Do I not? Right? Well, how do we work? And then there's this full-on dysfunction between, because over time, there's going to be disputes between the parent and the child. And then there's going to be a dysfunction around that. So is that a good solution? Yeah, I'm going to let them decide. Adult day services, if you're staying at home, you can go out to care, which is getting respite from the caregiver. We have these care homes that you can go out for the day. They provide breakfast and lunch, not dinner, and then you pick them up at 5. You drop them off before you go to work, you pick them up. Adult daycare. Adult daycare. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Safe. If you want care brought into your home, there's home care. So there's 2 levels of care. Home care is more of a social model. It's bathing, dressing, grooming, toileting. This thing here called activities Activity, that's a good one to know, ADLs. Activities of daily living. The reason why activities of daily living is important is because one of my first questions on an older adult is, do you have long-term care insurance? Why is that important? Because that's going to help define their financial situation in the future. See, if they have long-term care insurance, that's a good thing. How many of you have long-term care insurance?
I didn't even know that.
Okay.
Long-term care insurance. What is that?
So if you get disabled, it's going to pay your income.
Can I ask a question? Yeah, I don't have it. When is it too late to get that? Like, you know what I mean?
It's too late to get it when you're sick.
So you can't, well, you can't be diagnosed with something.
Yeah. Like, I got mine when I turned 50. So I have a financial planner. I said, hey, you know what? It's insurance. Mine I have it's a hybrid. So if I get disabled, it's going to pay my income. If I can't do what I do, it's going to pay my income. It has limits. So you want to know your monthly limit and your total draw amount. Okay. So when I ask somebody that, I'm a realtor, right? And I ask them, do you have long-term care insurance? What do they think about? I have the holistic approach to helping them.
Well, yeah, you have a plan.
I care enough. Right? I'm creating a plan, right? So you can't create a plan without knowing all the pieces to the plan. And one of the big pieces is long-term care insurance. Mine is $1 million, right? So that's going to cover me a long time if I need care. So if they have that, that's great. It'll cover you as long as you need 2 of these 6 activities of daily living: bathing, dressing, grooming, toileting, continence. If I, let's say I'm 58 now, so I'm able-bodied. Let's say I get into a car accident and I can't dress myself, right? I might be able to get that. It covers me. So long-term care insurance is something I would strongly look into for yourself, but also ask that from the clients. Again, some of the wealthy people that I have, their companies gave it to them early on. The reason why you don't know, you're just too young, because that industry has kind of gone downhill because it's running out of money. There's a lot of old people out there. Cash it in, right? Yeah, that's going to happen. This is don't disregard escort services. Don't look at that. It's transportation.
Sure.
Moving from place to place. I saw your eyes on that. Okay, but this is so, if you're living in your home, this care can be brought in. Now, the difference between that and this is home health care. Home health care is anytime you have exposed skin or intrusion in your body. That's going to require a nurse, licensed person. The other one is not. Now, your long-term care insurance will only won't cover your family relative unless they're a licensed practitioner. Okay. Right. So this is anytime you have an exposed skin. We had a guy, one of our guys came to one of our seminars. He said, hey, again, my friend needs help. I said, okay, I'll go see him. I went to his house. He was you guys know what a trail home is? I think I talked about this. Trail home. A trail home is there's a trail from the door to the sink to the toilet to the bed, back to the door. Everything else has stuff. Every other, and the trail still has stuff on the trail. Yeah, just you don't have to step over. Yeah.
You've ever watched Hoarders?
I like this.
Yeah. So if you ever watch Hoarders, that's what you said. Yeah. They actually called us for an episode. Anyways, so I go to this guy's house, and so he's in a wheelchair, and he has clenched hands. So he broke his knees, his hips, his elbows, and he's in a wheelchair, and he's got clenched hands now. See, he was okay, but you know when you have clenched hands, you can't do anything. You can't go to the bathroom. You can't do anything. His wife's like 65 pounds. She's like a tiny little Asian lady, right? She couldn't move him. So they had care coming in until the nurse turns her over, home care service, nurse turns her over, and goes, you have bed wounds because you weren't turned fast enough. You know, if you sit too long, you're gonna have bed wounds, right? Now there's exposed skin. So the home care company says, I can't come in anymore. So now they call me and says, I don't know what to do because it's too expensive to the other things. So basically they had no money. All their money was in their house. It was about $800,000 house. All it was that they had no money. And it was a hoarder home. We told them that we'd sell the home, we get them into a care home. They didn't have any money, so I went to go get a personal note from a friend of mine. you get him $50,000 to move in. Right? We moved him in. We actually ended up buying the home for $5,000 more than the market would accept. We had an offer for, I think, 800. I said, you know what? If you want, I'll close this in 20 days. I'll pay you cash and I'll pay you more than this time. He said, would you do that for me? I said, absolutely. Yeah. So we fixed that out and we sold that for 1.4. Right? But the point of the story is that we helped a guy get out of his situation that he didn't have another way out. And it was caused because the cost of care living in his home was just too high. He had no income. Okay. So what does that run? You're looking at home care $16 to $24 an hour. Home health care about $19 to $75 and up. But the most staggering number is this right here. If you need 24-hour care, it's not cheap.
In your home, the 24-hour care in your home. Okay. How does that compare to if you go to a place? You know,
Much cheaper.
It's
Much
it's
cheaper.
Usually like
About
four
half the price.
or 5,000, 6,000 now.
On depending on the level of care, it can go up to 10,000 for 24-hour care, 10 to 20,000 really on 24-hour care in certain markets. On average, though, about 5 to 10. Now that's a month. It's a month.
Right.
It's a lot of money. So what I do, and people say, I don't have enough money. I say, well, tell me, how much do you have a pension? Do you have retirement? Do you have any other income coming? I got Social Security. So I write all this stuff down. What's really interesting is they tell me everything that they own. And I've only met them for 10 minutes. Why do they do that?
They need help and yeah.
They need help and they trust me. Why? Because I'm not selling them anything. I'm trying to find out.
You're giving options.
Right. Right.
It's a win for everybody, really.
Right, right. But from the outside, you look at it, how did I get the information nobody else could get? It's not hard. Because you come from a heart of care and compassion, and you really care, and you want to create a plan. So the guy gives me all of this income and all of the expenses, and I said, well, this is going to last you 3 months. So if you sell the house, though, then that's going to last you at least 3 years. So what we would do in this case is we move them to a care home. This is kind of bad stuff. So we took a guy, we moved him into a care home that was already Medicaid approved. You connect him to a Medicaid provider because there's a 5-year look back. And over time, when he runs out of money, he's already in the place that Medicaid will pay. That's the plan.
Then you don't have to move again.
That's a plan for those that are not wealthy, that don't have enough assets. You want to create a plan so that, because if you try to go into Medicaid when you need it, it's too late because you're not going to have room for it and you got to be there. So the other decision, I'm going to leave my home. The home doesn't work for me. This is 99% of the moving. Why are the wealthy moving? Physical challenges. Typically, it's going to be knees and hips, typically. Mental challenges, memory care, memory challenges, and then family dynamics. Nobody's living in the house. I'm lonely. My husband passed. I went to a guy, that was yesterday, day before, it was yesterday, to this guy's house. And he said, my wife died 6 months ago, and I don't want to be in the house. I said, yeah, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't, because there's too many memories. So let's paint a picture of what your world is going to look like next. And he starts getting excited. Well, I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to find a girlfriend. You go, guy. You go, right?
That's for that escort.
Right? Right? So getting somebody to look forward, then you can help them move. But they're going to leave because of these situations that are going to show up in their life. It's going to happen. You saw the data. It's going to happen. Oops. So, well, here's some good questions. Does your home have too many steps? Is your home too large now that the kids are gone? That's a really common one. Maybe they have a 3, 4, 5 bedroom house. It's just you and yourself. Are you living alone and concerned about security? We had a client that said, they called me again and they said, Dad, I know you help a lot of seniors, so I don't know what to do. My husband died 6 months ago. I live in a big house in a quiet neighborhood and I wake up every night and I can't sleep because I'm scared. She's scared in her own house because her protector is gone, protector of 50 years. And so I said to them, well, do you have kids? She said, yeah, I have 2 brothers. Do you like them? I was joking, but because you gotta ask, because sometimes they don't like, right? Yeah, I like them. Yeah, okay, how often do you see them? I see them every, okay. Why don't we get together with your family? See, I brought the family in on the first
I like
conversation. The first conversation, my first meeting, I brought them. I said to them, I said to the kids, because the kids were my age, I said, do you know why we're here today? Do you know why I'm here? She says, no. I said, well, mom called me because she doesn't want to live in her house. So you guys have a couple of options as a family. So I'm trying to rally the family in early on, because then you're going to get support of that family. Right? That person is never going to make a decision on their own where they shouldn't. They should do it in collaboration. They love. So I asked her, so, you have two options. You can stay in your home or you can leave your home. If you're staying in your home, because you're so worried about security, maybe one of your kids can come in and stay overnight and you should see them there. You're all trying like, oh no, you're kidding, right? You're going to ask me to do that? They're trying to be invisible, basically, right? I got a life of my own. I got soccer. I got this, I got that. You don't blame them. I said, well, the next option is if that doesn't work, maybe you can move on. Here are some places you can go. So I showed her a few places. I showed her 3 places. She nailed on one. We moved her to sold out. We have to declutter, we moved everything. So if you can find a solution to this problem, you're going to get a lot of this. Is your home yard too much work to maintain? That's pretty common, right? Are you tired of cooking and cleaning? Anybody tired? My wife is the first one. Yeah, I know. Yeah, because what will happen is we used to cook for our kids. Then the kids are gone, then it's just 2 people. And then it's like better to just go to Whole Foods or something, right? But after a while, that gets kind of tiring. What if you could have healthy meals, 3 meals a day that are healthy at a retirement? What if you could have care in a retirement? What does that life look like? And would you like to make your own decisions about where and when your next move will be? Or do you want to leave that up to somebody else? So this is the sad part of this whole industry that I face and I work with is, and how many of you know what the Office of Public Guardian is? OPG, Office of Public Guardian. We have one in here in Sacramento, I guarantee you. The Office of Public Guardian state-run office is designed to take care of people who cannot take care of themselves. So let's just say your neighbor across the street, Mrs. Jones, you used to see her every day. And she'd go out, she'd sweep, she'd pick up the newspaper, then she'd go in her house. One day you wake up and, man, she didn't sweep today. You think, oh, maybe she's sick. You go to work, you come back, the next day you go, there's 2 newspapers on the door. Something's wrong. What do? Well, you go knock on her door and say, hey, Mrs. Jones, are you okay? You hear the TV on, you see her car there. Oh no, what do you do? She has no next of kin in the city. You call the police. The police will come, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to knock on her door. Eventually, they're going to break her door down to get to her. And almost all the time, she's on the ground. And some of the time, she's expired. And I serve the Office of Public Guardian. They call me to provide care for people who in that kind of situation. That what you don't know is what's behind the door. Right? You see the outside of the house, everything looks okay. You go inside and you're like, wow, that's not what I saw on the outside. But that happens more than you can imagine. More than you can imagine. So there's a thing called conservators. Conservators are people who will take care of these people. So let's just say Mrs. Jones, let's say she's alive. The police get her, they put her in an ambulance, they take her to the hospital, they try to revive her. After they revive her, then they're going to take her to a therapy, physical therapy, because she can't move back home. But before they discharge her from the hospital, the case manager has to have a guardian. So they're going to go to, if they don't have a guardian of a family member, they're going to go to the state. They're going to call the Office of Public Guardian. And a state employee will come to the hospital and find out where they're going to put her. They got to place her because the hospital wants her out of the hospital. It's too expensive. She's okay, get her out, move her to a therapy center. She'll move to a therapy center. Then they're also going to have, so the guardian takes care of their medical and health affairs. Then they will have a conservator. The conservator is assigned by a judge, typically in every state, that the judge assigns a conservator to take care of their legal and financial affairs. If that happens, by the time that happens, Mrs. Jones has lost her right to make decisions on her own. She's proven to the state that she can't do it. So somebody's gonna step in and do it. And that's what happens when they wait too long. That's what happens. It happens more than you think. So I'm on a platform now to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm on a platform to get people proactive versus reactive. Frank matter is I'll never be able to 100%. There will always be this. There will always be this, unfortunately. And if you have a heart and care for people like that, this is a business that you will feel good every day, knowing that you serve somebody at a really. So where are they going? Age restricted places. They're moving in with children, downsizing in a smaller home. They're moving into a condo or townhouse, or if it's too late, they're moving to a care home. But if they're independent, they're looking to retirement. So when they downsize to a smaller home, they're going to sell or rent it, right? Their house, they're going to move into something else. We do a lot of that. I'd say out of 100 clients that would move out of their home, I'd say 20% are downsizing. It's just 2 transactions, right? You get to sell, you get to buy. You get both.
And then later, there's still the other one on the table. when they
100%.
move to Care facility.
Along with their family, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're going to sell it to pay for long-term care because long-term care is expensive and they don't have cash. So it's less stress and they don't really need all the space. And there's huge tax benefits, capital gains tax exemptions, right? We'll talk more about that in the second half. What we're also seeing, they're moving closer to family, right? Especially if they're widow, they're going to want to spend time with their family. Right? If they're a husband and wife, they're typically okay together. But once one goes, it's lonely. You don't want to be. You don't want to be by yourself. You want to be. And so they often do that. They'll typically go not where their kids are, where their grandkids are. I don't know why that. And then they're going to relocate to a low cost of living. We see a lot of that now. We have clients. In fact, we have 3 clients that are moving to the mainland. What are they moving to? 2 are moving to Vegas, and 1's moving to Georgia. Cost of living. It's cheaper to live there than it is in Hawaii. And they're going to be indoors most of the time because of their age. They're done with the skiing and the snowboarding. Yeah. Okay, so there's 2 options. There's month-to-month retirement communities, and there's CCRCs, continuing care. This is something you want to know. There's only 2 solutions to the retirement community model. The month-to-month, it's like a rental. You go in, you pay the first month security deposit, pay the first month, you move in. 2 months later, you can move out. No harm, no foul. They're designed for that. That's the largest model that you're going to find in America today, probably from the last 10 years ago, because people are not doing these CCRCs. CCRCs, continuing care retirement community. California is really weird. There's 5 models to that. And I'm not going to go into the detail of it. There's 5 different ways that you can do that here in this California. In Hawaii, there's 1. Hawaii, there's 2. In Hawaii, they pay anywhere from $500,000 to $1.5 million just to walk in the door. And then they're paying $5,000 to $10,000 every month for that care. That's Ritz-Carlton care. So wealthy, they want Ritz-Carlton care. Why not? Because they have it, right? So know what it is, because that's your target. So we started when we started Senior Move Managers 12 years ago. There was a new CCRC being built, and the problem they had was getting people to commit the money. They had to have them drop that $500,000 down, right? And they had to sell their house to do that. Well, they didn't want to sell their house because they felt like, oh, I'm going to leave all my treasures. I can't sell my house because what do I do with all this stuff? So we came in as a solution. We solved that problem. And that's why they hired us. We moved in over 105 families and 180 units in that in 5 years. I'm sorry, take that back, 3 years. We filled it in 3 years. And 75% of those we sold. Listen, so if you see a new building going up and you find out it's a CCRC, you want to go have a conversation. Because those guys need your help. Because they need money to get in, and that's going to come from the world. Those guys have it in their house. Right? Because think about it this way, let's say they got $1 million of stocks and bonds, $1 million home. Well, if you sell $1 million of your stocks and bonds, you're paying capital gains tax. If you're selling your home, you get 500,000 tax-free dollars out of that. If your husband and wife being on time as a homeowner exemption. Okay. So knowing that this is how we built the model, believe it or not, this right here. I figured out that people needed to know where to go and nobody was telling them where to go. So I started senior living options seminars and I do them at the retirement communities. So I'm doing one now. I think we'll have it on Zoom. You guys can watch it. I think it's on the 29th. And so I show up. They have the food, they have the room, they have everything set up. I walk in, I plug my thumb drive in, and I do my 2-hour presentation. And I get listings from it, and then I walk away. That's the model that we have for the senior living options. Because those guys, they want you. Why? Because they want to bring people through their door, right? And if you can help them get more business, they want to send you business. So we got 2 listings already from these retirement communities. That model is a way to provide a solution to their problem. We have a whole training system around how to approach it, scripts and everything. Here's the cost. So again, this is pre-COVID, but I think it's not that far off. If you're looking at month-to-month rentals, you know, the community fee, the community fee is really a deposit. Here's what you want to look at. Studio or 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, an additional person. So add that. Look at memory care. What happens when you need memory? Memory care is going to be the biggest problem we're going to see in our world in our lifetime, because what's going to happen is there's not enough beds for all of us. And what's going to happen is today's technology, medical technology, is allowing us to live longer, which is great. One of our friends, he's a pastor. I got a text that he had a heart attack. In my head, I had a vision of him, the doctor cutting his chest up, opening him up, fixing him up, closing him back, and he's in the hospital for 2 weeks. They put a little hole in his vein. They stuck a wire in his vein. They ran it all the way into his heart. They put a stent, which is a balloon that opens up the artery. They pulled it out. He walked out of there that day. That's medical technology today is going to make us live longer. There's nothing to help us with this. There's nothing to help us with your brain. We have to do this. We have to do it. And I can tell you, scientists will tell you, gerontologists will tell you, isolation is the biggest enemy of cerebral stimulation. It is the largest enemy. Right? So that's why we're a fan of communities. We're a fan of people being in community with, you know, you're going to have 3 conversations a day at minimum, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So that's why we're fans of this.
What's the main benefit to going to the continuing care versus month to month? It's still kind of a similar monthly cost.
Typically, it's going to be a higher level of service.
Yeah, you said that's the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the month-to-month ones, not all of them have skilled nursing.
Okay.
But you may not even need skilled.
Right.
We're going to cover levels of care.
Okay.
It's a little complicated. Explain that. This one?
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
Now, the CC, what is it called again? The
CCRC.
The CCRC. Now, do these care home communities, do they market themselves as CCRCs? Is it like hard to find that or?
It is.
Okay.
They're not real good at that.
Oh, okay. So if I like Google care homes, CCRC care homes, it might not be CCRC.
No, actually, someone will show that.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I think you can find it.
Okay.
We have,
Actually, Dan, there's one up in, right up the road, you see? You go up Mitchell's Boulevard all the way to the top of life, there's a member of people, they are CCRC, they actually have homes for sale in the community, it's about 500,000.
Oh, wow.
Well, then that's what it sounds like, is if you were to call and ask, that the difference would be a monthly, or the entry fee's lower and the other one's a higher buy-in. That will determine.
yeah, the CCRCs, there's a buy-in, well, they call it, it's called an entry.
And
Because you know what,
entry
you're not buying anything, you don't have a deed.
Yeah.
No, you don't own it,
Really?
you're owning a right to live there. You're owning a right to live there. See, in Hawaii, the CCRC is continuing care retirement community, which means they're gonna take care of you till you die. Now, they're pretty smart, they know you're not gonna run out of money. Because they're gonna have a financial review to make sure that in order for you to get in, they know you're not
have
gonna
enough
have
money.
and there's a provision in there that says if you willfully give your money away, I'm gonna kick you out. So they have a financial review every year. to make sure that doesn't.
How do you open up a CCRC?
That's a different conversation.
Yeah, it is.
But go on a smaller scale. Go on foster homes. We're in the state of California, they're called, not arches, they're called board and something.
Boarding care.
Boarding cares. Those are up to 5 people. That's the model. Do a dozen of those, you're done. Like I talked to somebody in San Francisco at the last region, he's got 5. Theirs are big, they're 22 units. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so if someone buys a home and they convert it into a care facility, what does that fall on?
In regard to,
Is it a
oh, no,
CCRC
no,
or?
it's gonna be a month-to-month.
Okay,
This is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Because that's big money and you're gonna have an actuarial list. You know, how much, yeah, it's a big deal. These are corporate. What's these? Cool. Okay, levels of care. There's really 3 main types. There's independent living. You walk in on your own, you take care of yourself on your own. Assisted living means you just need help. You need help getting out of bed, you need help taking a shower, things like that, maybe eating. And then skilled nursing, we call them SNFs. So if you hear the word SNF, you talk to somebody, SNF, all right? You use the word SNF in a gerontological meeting, people will think that you know what they're talking about, that you're on the inside, right? Okay. So there's a lot of SNFs out there too. Because this is when people stay in their home too long and they just got to go to care home. Memory care covers all 3 of them. Because you can have memory care that's able-bodied, you can have memory care that's assisted, you can have memory care that's skilled. Memory care is very expensive. And that's going to be one of our biggest problems that our society is going to have is there's not. And it all depends, and they provide everything for you. It's all inclusive. I pulled this out just to show, this is right out of California just the other day. Nursing home costs right here. Right, private rooms, assisted living. This doesn't make sense to me, don't look at that. And then this won't make sense. So if you're staying at home, look at that. But if you go out, look at that. It's cheaper to go out of your home. Is my point. So you show that to people and say, you can stay at home, it's just going to cost more. They think it's going to be less. In their mind, it's counterintuitive, right? You think if I go out, it's going to cost more. It's actually cost more to be in your home than to leave your home. Okay, how do they pay for it? Well, Medicaid can cover it, but you got to make sure that it's Medicaid approved. The provider, the care provider has to be Medicaid. Not every community is. In fact, very, very few are. Long-term care insurance covers 2 of the 6 activities they live in. That's why I asked that question early on in my conversations as a real estate planner. Private pay is really what happens. We'll pay it their own. Right? That's the wealthy older adult. They got money, they're going to do it. They're just gonna, and it's going to come from out of their. So why is it important to know what the senior living options are? Well, you're going to become an expert. And you really want to pay a realist senior relocation specialist. What if you name yourself the senior relocation specialist? What would people think of you? What would an older adult think? That you can help them move, right? Because you know the different locations that they can go to. People are going to call you for advice. I mean, when I say that, I'm talking financial planners, wills and trust attorneys, CPAs. I got the city and county of Honolulu calling, the elderly affairs divisions. Yeah, adult and protective services are calling, right? The Office of Public Guardian. All of the state offices call me. Why? Because nobody in my market has put the time and effort to learn it at a high level. So you want to be the outlier. It's not hard to be the outlier. I'm just telling you, it's not hard. I could do it for you in a month. Honestly, I really could. But be the outlier. Once you find them, then their next home, you have a listing because they're not going to keep. Very few people, in fact, only 2 people have actually kept their home. One of them, believe it or not, I recommended that they not sell. Here's why. So I went to this guy's house. Mom's going to move out of her home. She's got to go to her care home. She was like 92, so she's older, right? And they're gonna move out of her home. See, she got that property from, when she bought it, it was almost nothing. Now it's worth $2 million. So it's huge capital gain, right? So if she sold it now, she only gets $250 tax free. The rest of that's all gain. Right? So I said to her, you know what, how's mom's house? She said, well, it's not doing so well. So, but she's gonna be in a care home. I said, I tell you what, if it were me, I wouldn't sell. Now I'm a realtor. I'm at a listing appointment, and I told him, if just gotta be honest, if it were me, I wouldn't sell. But I have a property management firm. We can go in and fix the house up for you. We can have it rented until she passes. When she passes, you sell. You got to step up in cost basis. You have 0 capital gains tax. That decision saved them $700,000. Yes. That's the real estate planning. Because I wasn't looking after me. I was looking after them. I looked after what was best for the person. That guy is a raving fan. He tells everybody about us. And he's gonna use us. In fact, so much so that he got his daughter to work for us. She's now our listing manager. Yeah. So he gotta work for these guys. These guys are legit, right? So really cool. Yeah, the referral business is really big, and we're gonna talk about this in the second half.
So if you were the child that inherits the property, have no.
If you have no capital gains, when somebody dies, you got to step up in cost basis. So let's just say mom got her house given to her when mom was alive. So her mom gave it to her. Now if anybody passes on real estate while they're alive, they've absorbed the previous owner's cost basis, which is much less. So I say to people, don't transfer your property until you die. Because if my parents give me her property today, they bought it for $300,000, it's worth $1 million today. If she gave it to me, I'm subject to those capital gains.
If they read.
Yeah, well, they're going to take it from the cost basis of it got transferred to me at when she bought it, which is $300,000. I got to pay the 30% of $700,000. That's a lot of money. So I say keep it in your mom's trust. When she passes away, you got to step up in cost basis, which means there's 0 capital. 0. Yeah, these are things that, as a real estate planner, you bring that to the table. I got to tell you, more than 75% do not. And that's huge in value. Huge in real estate. Okay, so what does it say? What seniors do with their home after they move out? Well, I only had 2 people that rented. One I recommended, 2 he's a certificate. You're going to pass it on to a family member. Be careful. I always suggest they say, I'm just going to give it to my kids. And my suggestion is you don't do that. And here's why. And I explain the cost of doing it. So keep it in your name. Let the kid live there. That's fine. Just don't transfer it yet. Keep it in your name until you die. If you like your kids. If you don't like your kids, keep it in your name. Either way, keep it in your name. I had one where I go to this listing appointment, true story. I walk in, she says, hey, I want to sell your house. I came to your seminar. I love everything that you do. I need the complete solution. I get there, I go, who are these 3 people on your tax rate? Oh, that's my son, my daughter-in-law, and my daughter. I go, huh. You know you don't own the property? What do you mean? Yeah, I do. Well, according to this, you don't. And she goes, oh yeah. Last year I went downtown and I signed some papers. She didn't know what she signed. God. They transferred the name into them. And here's why people are doing that. Because there's a whole industry of people that says, if you want Medicaid, get rid of your assets. So there's attorneys out in every city that prey on this. They prey on this because that's how they make money. That's their economic model, is to get people to give away their assets and make their money on Medicaid. Medicaid is someone. So I get there, I said, I'm really sorry. Unless your kids give it back to you, you don't own a property. You know what they did? They locked their own mother in their home. And the saddest part about this whole story is Dad had dementia. She was so excited to go to that retirement community. She said, man, I'm going to have a great life. I'm going to have care for him. Kids prevented that from happening. So much so that they made her the servant for the father in their own home. It's their own kids. It's horrible. It is just, it was just horrible. So that shows up. So if you like your kids, don't transfer it. If you don't like your kids, don't transfer it. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Is it a good time? So I just pulled that right. That's not. I'm just trying to show this cycle. Market values have reached an all-time high, as we all know. What's the median sell price here?
520, 525.
Low supply and high demand. Everybody knows this stuff, right? If you've owned your home for more than 10 years, for you, it needs 10 years, 5 years. The market's just 2 years. So we built our model on education seminars. I did that because my brother did reverse mortgages and he built his model on education. So he told me to do it. After not listening for a few months, I ended up doing it. And I still do it today. I've done as most as 8 in a month or 2 a week to now I only do 2 to 4 a month, somewhere in my market typically. And I'll do them in a variety of places. One is I'll do it at a retirement community where I just show up. I'll do it in financial planners' offices. I've spoken at every financial planning firm, every bank, every trust company in our state. So they all know who we are because I provided value and information to them that they didn't know. And so that's the referral business that you're going to get. So think of seminars as not only that the end user, it's everybody that person knows. So people will come up to me at the end and say, will you just come do this for my senior club? Could you come and do this for the church? Could you come and do this? So I get that all the time. So just provide information and value to people. And if it's of great enough value, you're going to be asked to share that more in one place. And you're going to position yourself as an expert. Increase your leads. And I consider it a group listing appointment. When I got 30 people in a room, I do this. By the time they walk out, they've already signed up. If we've got an appointment, it's about when, not if. That's all it is. Our success ratio was pre-COVID. We're getting back to that tape now. It's about 20% conversion ratio. For a number, if I get 10 groups showing up, I'm going to get 2 appointments. In those 2 appointments, I got a 95% closing ratio. Almost everything closed. So having that as a solution is something we train on. How do you get started? Know that this game of helping the older adults, it's a long-term play game. It's not like I can give you a name and a number. It's a FISBO. You go get a lead. So it doesn't work out. You want to start with making sure you understand the market, understand what we're talking about, research the senior. Connect with retirement communities. We have a whole script package on how to have that conversation, how to get them to want to do things with. When I was expanding, I guess about 5 years ago, we had a team actually that hired me to come out to where was I? I was in Oregon. And I trained them on the model, and I said to them, do me a favor, book 4 appointments for me. Book 4 appointments with 4 retirement communities. And out of those 4 appointments, I walked away with 4 seminars. 100% of them wanted me to show up again to do the seminar. And they're going to pay to get people in the seats. That's what's good, right? They're going to build the database. So it can be done. And just get ready to get lead.
We don't get it right.
We don't get it. I don't get it right. Okay, we're moving on.
For 4 hours and 2.
I like it.
Yeah, we
Well,
wanna learn all
and
this.
then where are we done? Are you guys okay?
Yeah.
You okay?
Do you mind just going back to the screen for just 1 second? I wanted to get that last
No?
number 5. No,
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. If you guys are okay, I'm gonna keep going.
Are we gonna be able to have access to these slides?
Do you?
You want- is that okay?
I gotta check with my boss. I need to do that. My wife's not here.
You let me know.
But like- Okay, so here's the opportunity. These listings are, we meet with Gary and it's so funny. We have a running joke of how many seconds will it take for Gary to draw his triangle? And now it's no more than like 5 minutes. Sometimes he starts with. So leads, you're looking for leads that are quantity and quality. These are the leads that we're going to get in this market. Why? Because you know they're going to move. And there's a lot of them that are going to move. 2, it's a listing. That's all I do. I don't do buyers. I do buyers because I got all the listings. The buyers are coming to me, right? And leverage. Consider it a group listing appointment. Consider all the referrals that will come from this network that you built. So real estate planners, building generational wealth. Okay. So that's a conversation I have almost every day. It's how do I help people build generational wealth? So the wealthy want to hear that. The wealthy doesn't want to hear you're going to sell real estate, whatever. They want to know what you're going to do beyond just the sale. What are you going to do? By minimizing capital gains tax. So capital gains tax, for those of you who don't know, the primary residence, the IRS says, I'm going to give you a capital gains tax exemption if you've lived in your home 2 out of the last 5 years. Any 2, could be the first 2, could be the last 2. It doesn't matter which 2. Okay. So I could, now one of the things we're doing is we're selling their primary residence, we're taking the capital gains tax, right? They're moving into their investment property. 2 years later, we're getting it again. Capital gains tax exemption. That's a strategy. It's a simple strategy. That's a strategy. Right? Because that's going to defer your capital.
So both will have to be on title to that.
Yes, on title and living in the home. So your estate taxes are like 13. By the way, congratulations, #1 in America, California. I'm proud to say we're #2. We're #2. You're #1. You beat us. Okay, I'll concede. Look at that. Washington, Wyoming have 0 capital gains tax. Now, this is only state level. You always have federal. You always have federal. That's state taxes like that. Who wants to live in Alaska? Oh, of course. Don't tax them, give them everything. Okay, so how do you calculate it? You take your net selling price minus your adjusted cost basis is your calculation. What are each of these things? So the net selling price is you take your selling price minus all the cost of selling. Title, escrow. Oh, by the way, I renovated my home. Remember the model I told you that I help people fix up their home and take it out of escrow? I just helped them. See that?
Would that be any renovation they did through the life of living there?
It has to be a capital improvement. It can't be like I peed in my house. It's got. I added a room. CapEx is capital expenditure, so it's something that added value. It could be a roof, though, probably.
Like a kitchen
Could be a-
renovation?
Yep. Talk to your CPA.
You have to get that, is it because you're doing that, because they're paying at
Close,
close, that's why they get the just.
because then you have the net proceeds, right?
Yeah. So the payment has to happen at close. Yeah.
So there's a big win on everybody's side, right?
Yeah, so you're like loaning the money,
Yeah.
but you get paid at close, and now their cost of selling is bigger, so their net selling price.
I only loaned the money for 90 days. I make 10%. Where can you make 10%?
That's
Nowhere.
awesome. I love
Nowhere.
to do that.
Be careful. Don't take that late. Okay, so you get your net selling price. Your cost basis is your cost basis plus any improvements that we just talked about. That's your capital gain. That's a simple way to calculate it. I run this analysis every day with anybody I meet. This is one of the first things I do. I get the numbers and I run them because I want to know what their tax burden is going to be. Because if they have a great tax burden, I want to find a solution to their tax.
And if it was an investment property, then it's just 13.30%.
Well,
Much
no,
better.
Okay,
that's better.
Yeah.
okay.
Let's appreciate.
That's appreciation factor. Yeah, do you guys all have a CPA? I would meet with your CPA and have one class on. Tell me how capital gains tax, how you're going to see the capital gains tax.
Yeah, question on the capital gains here. Scenario, husband and wife living together, been there for 25 years. Wife passes on, 6 months later, husband decides to sell. Is he still gonna get that $250 for each?
She's going to get a step up in cost base from the time of death. So anybody who dies, you need an appraisal. It's called a time of death appraisal. Because you're going to get a step up in cost basis of her 50% to the date of death, market value percent.
And it's adjusted.
Yeah, absolutely. Really important to know. Thank you. They have assets, right? They purchased these investment properties years ago, or they've inherited it. A lot of people that I tell people that in the next 10 to 20 years, we're gonna have the greatest transfer of wealth in America. And the reason for that is all the baby boomers, parents are going to die. And it's going to go to the baby. What happens then? They don't know what to do with it. Baby boomers, they're just used to spending. Put it in, get out, put it in, get out. Yeah, okay. So you want to be the solution, right? You want to be that person that is giving them the, they've inherited a lot. It's appreciated over the years. I mean, classic example, most of our seniors, anywhere from 70 on up, they bought it for 35,000 or less, and now it's worth 1 to 2 million. It's crazy. The investments that they have, they could be underperforming. And I got to tell you, 9 out of 10 times it is underperforming. 2 days ago, because I have these conversations every day. 2 days ago, a lady goes, I said, oh, she's got 4 properties. And I asked her about them. Oh, no, this one, this is great. It's right close to the beach. I said, oh, no, how's it? Oh, it's performing great. I said, what does that look like? I said, oh, no, I get rent. I said, oh, that's good. That's good to get rent, right? When I calculated, she's spending $2,000 for that tenant to stay there. So people are going to make a decision. Here's a script for you. People are going to make a decision in one of 2 ways. They're going to make an emotional decision, or they're going to make a financial decision. What decision do you want to make? See how that gets to the core. They're going to go, I'm doing an emotional one, but I really shouldn't. Because it's an investment property. Investment properties, you should see it like a stock or a bond. I mean, basically, if you put money into anything, let's say Costco, you want to invest in Costco, United Airlines, whatever it is, you're never going to live there. You're looking at what the return is. Well, that's the same thing in real estate, but they think otherwise for some reason. They think it's different. It's not different. It's an asset. It's an asset that's supposed to generate you money, right? That's the purpose of the investment. The question really lies is it generating at where it should generate relative to the value of the asset? And so there's a cap rate analysis. Anybody do investments here? Real estate investment? Yeah, we do. I coined this thing called an asset performance test. Would you like to hear an asset performance test? An asset performance test is, it's going to cost you. No, just joking. An asset performance test tests every asset based on its net operating income relative to its value. And there's a relationship on every asset that you own. That relationship matters because if it's underperforming, why would you let it underperform? See, the thing about it is most people don't know it's underperforming until you bring it up. So the real estate planner. Again, what I'm sharing with you, nobody in my market talks about real estate this way. I'm certain, nobody, and I don't know about you, but most people don't. It's appreciated over the years. It could be underperforming, which 99% of the time is. And they're at an age where they just don't want to manage it anymore. They're tired of it. They got more money than they need. They don't need that income. They use that income for their kids' college education. They don't need it anymore. Kids are done. And they don't need the money. So how can you avoid paying capital gains taxes? You defer the capital gain taxes to 1031 exchange. Now, somebody asked me, well, how do you eliminate capital gains? That's very easy. I can tell you, there's 2 ways you could do that. 2 ways to eliminate capital gains. One, you don't pay it. Now, the view from inside the bars probably doesn't look as good. So maybe not do that one.
Free meals,
Yeah,
right?
They're just not good.
Yeah, you're not going to go very far in your so don't do that. The other is you die. Those are 2 ways you eliminate capital gains taxes. Guess what? The last one, you guarantee is going to happen to someone. So why are we not planning for it? Why are we not planning for the inevitable? That someday that's going to happen. And using it as a tool, believe it or not, right? Using it as a tool. So what is it? It's an IRC tax code, 1031 exchange that allows investors to defer your capital gains taxes while investing in other properties. Replacing that. And it has to be between a specific time frame. And I'll show you that in a second. They use this thing called like-kind. Yeah.
Sorry, again, question on that, because I know of people who have done this, and we'll just leave it at that, but investors who shifted their investments into 1031, et cetera, done the whole investment thing, rented it out, legitimate, a couple years later, moved into it as their primary.
Hmm.
Does that not avoid capital gains?
Right.
But only up to 500,000.
Correct.
And they have to be in there for
2 years.
2 years.
I'd go 2 years in a day, just.
Yeah, right.
Basically, you're looking at 2 tax cycles.
Sure.
Right? So the IRS is going to follow you to make sure you're doing what you said to do. Then you can change your intent. So your intention was to execute a 1031 exchange, but your intention can change.
Right.
In the 9th Circuit Court, it's been proven. And we're in the 9th Circuit Court. Okay. So what is like kind? They use this term like kind. Like kind is pretty much anything real estate. I can sell a single family home and buy a condo. I can sell a shopping center and buy a theater. You can't sell an airplane and buy a house. Not anymore. Can't do that. Not that I would ever, but no, you can't do that. And it has to be in U.S. territory. There's also a thing called non-related parties. Non-related parties can be a little tricky. There's ways around that. I'm not going to go into that, but basically the IRS says the purpose of the 1031 exchange is to defer your capital gains taxes. So you continue to stimulate the economy. You're selling and you're buying. You're not selling and keep. So you're moving money in the economy, right? Because you're moving money in the economy, you can do that. But if you're selling, I cannot technically sell to my kids. I'm moving it from pocket to pocket.
Right.
So if you have like a cross father, parents and sibling, child, brothers and sisters, cannot do. Now, could I sell it? My kids aren't married yet. But if my daughter-in-law, if I had one, I could sell it to her. So that's one of the
Not blood related.
not blood related. Not that I would do that. Anyway. And anywhere in the United States, except for Puerto Rico, right? In the U.S. territory. Okay. So what are the guidelines? Well, you have to designate up to, it says up to 3, you really don't. I only have, on a practice, I usually have a plan for 1, 2. And you have to identify within 45 days. Now that's the most important time frame you need to know. It's from the date you close, you only got 45 days to assign your replacement property. Assigning replacement property could be as simple as putting it on a napkin and having the accommodator send that into the IRS. But we prefer it to be identification means we're in escrow. And that's why I've never failed. Done of over 150 of these, I've never failed. The reason is I see it a little different. I see assignment to being an escrow. Because if I assign something in 45 days, but I never go in escrow, can I ever close? No. So the 180 days means nothing to me. The only reason why 180 days is important is if you buy new construction. Then you're going to need to know, you got to be able to move, you got to get the keys and move in by that time. If the construction delay, you had a guy that sold a condo in Hawaii and bought a house in Vegas, and he says buying new construction. And I asked him, so when is the construction going to be done? It was at least 2 months prior to the 180 days. I said, know that if that weather shows up for 2 months, you might be sunk. You might be sunk. Fortunately, he did, and he was okay. But knowing that the most important time frame is important.
So with the replacement value, if it's less than the relinquished value, what is the consequence of
You
that?
pay the boot on that. So the boot is the tax on that percentage.
Okay.
So let's say, so when people say, well, I heard you have to buy it to equal or greater than, it's a yes to defer all your capital gains taxes, no if you do want to pay some tax.
Sure.
Right, so I have a client that said, well, you know, I'm selling $1 million house. I want to take my kids around the world. $100,000. Okay, well then take $100,000 out. There's no, you're going to pay $25,000. Say, okay. So you can do it. It's just know that there's a consequence.
Right.
Okay, here's why we have never failed. As we start shopping here, and we starting to aggressively market the home, we're starting to shop here. So we're shopping before we even get into escrow. This is an acceptance date of the one you're selling. You have 45 days to find your replacement property. So that means in my world, I got 90 days. If I'm shopping up here before we even go to market. See what I'm saying? I got 3 months. Some people, I went to open house, this guy said, I like the house. I said, awesome. He said, yeah, I think I'm gonna buy it. Awesome. He said, it's gonna be an investment property. I go, awesome. He said, I'm doing a 1031 exchange. I said, awesome. I said, when are you gonna sell your price? Oh, it closed to it. Got 2 more days.
Oh.
The dude was shopping right here. I go, wow, sucks to be you. 'Cause you're gonna come to my escrow, and you ain't going out. You got no choices, right? So that's why we shop way out here. So before we even sign the listing agreement, once we sign it, we're already looking. Now, it'll take time to get it ready, and then you get it accepted. So you've got quite some, and then you got 45 days on top of that. Right? So this is a minimum of 90 days, but I'm doing closer to 130. I have a plan, I'm gonna execute on the plan, and I tell people, if I help you, you need to follow instructions. We're gonna look, this failure. So the other thing I ask you to do is have your client talk to the CPA and says, if you fail, what's the consequence? And they need you to report that back to me. I do that exercise all the time. You know why? Because then they have reality set in. And it's not from me. I'm not guessing. They know because the IRS, the CPA told them, here's your burden.
And then the liability is off you.
Exactly.
So if you miss that, if you don't, if it's day 46 and you're still not in escrow, you face the full tax ramifications.
You haven't assigned your replacement property. You have to assign your replacement property here.
Within the
I'm
45
sorry,
days.
here. You have to assign your replacement property. But if you go to here, game's over.
How often does that happen to you?
When
Never.
I've never failed. I got really close ones.
when do you have to identify your replacement property? At what point?
Yeah.
Is that gonna lead it?
At what point do you have to identify your replacement property? Is it within the 45 days?
Yes, well,
Okay.
at the bare minimum, it's here within the 45 days after you close on your relinquished property. So those are terms you want to use: relinquished property and replacement property. Use a proper terminology because then they'll sound smart all of a sudden.
We can't see where you put the pointer, just FYI.
It's the 45 days after you close on your relinquished property.
Okay, thank you.
That's the only time period you have left. So the one time that I got close, it's my friend's father. He's got more money than me. He goes, "Oh, I want to sell this rental that I have, and my tenant's living there." I said, "Great." I go there. I go, "Dang, tenant's living here? He's got buckets everywhere in his house. Things leaking, like live leaking. I can see it dripping." Okay, the nicest tenant ever. Never complained about anything. And he goes, "Dad, I want to buy the house." I go, "Sure." And so my client, who's a seller, says, "Why don't you help me? Just, help him buy the house." I said, "Sure." So 1031 exchange, it's an investment property. And then we found a property, we're doing a 1031 exchange. I followed the model. And then we find a property. And everything's going well. It's right up, we're building a new rail in our town. And he has this snack business that he says, "Hey, the rail's gonna be right near me. It's gonna have a lot of traffic. It's gonna be good for my business." I said, "Okay, good. You sure you want that?" "Yeah." We did everything. The due diligence was so deep. You know what a phase 2 environmental study is? Yeah, we did a phase 2 on it. This is a repair shop, and I made them dig up the repair jack. I don't know if you've ever seen that thing come out of the ground. It's 10 feet high. It goes into the ground. It's the hydraulic track. And at the bottom, they have to take soil out to test it, to see if there's contamination. So we did that. We made the seller do that. Okay, great. Everything's good. He goes, "Oh." I go, "What do you mean, oh?" "What does oh mean?" So, "Oh, Dad, I got to cancel." "We just cleared your J1. Everything's good." "Yeah, but I was at the bar talking to my friend, and he said, during the construction, it's going to shut my business down." I said, "Yeah, you knew that. You didn't plan for that?" I said, "No, I can't close it. I got to cancel it." "Really?" He canceled on the very last day. And I felt horrible for the seller because I made him dig up his freaking property. It was gnarly. I've never seen it. It's kind of interesting. Anyways, so he said, "Don't worry, I'll just pay the tax." I go, "Hang on a second. You know how much tax that is?" He said, "Oh, it's like $150,000. You okay with that?" I said, "Yeah, my tenant's been a good guy. I'm just gonna close." I said, "Now you don't have to close because I can control that guy." Because he's living there anyways. He doesn't have to close.
There's no rush for that.
There's no rush.
Yeah.
There's no rush. He said, then I shook his hand. a matter of integrity. I shook his hand, I said, I'm gonna do it. Even if it costs you that kind of money, he said, yeah, it's just. I go, dang, that's painful. So, and then I'm going on it, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm screwed, right? Now I've got to go find him something. Panicking. And then I'm ready to go down an airplane. I was going to go skiing. And he calls me up and said, hey, Dan, there's this vacant lot across the street from my house. I mean, across the street from his office. He goes, I wouldn't mind buying that. I said, okay, cool. Let me go see what I can do. So I found the owner and I called him. True miracle story. The guy says, it's funny that you called because last night my sister and I said we're going to sell the property. That was an absolute.
So he didn't pay
He never. I closed on that one.
did you get to double it?
What about the poor mechanic guy?
Not everybody.
So if you follow this model, follow this model, you'll have minimize your failure, risk of failure. But we have. Okay, so it's a good time to do a 1031 exchange. Yes, if you want to upgrade or increase your portfolio, if you want to build wealth. The way you build wealth is not pay taxes. It's real simple. You want to relocate the asset. You have a lot of folks that are doing that now. They're moving assets from one city to another because of family and also because of creating a legacy, which will tie this up in a little bit about legacy. They're moving it from a high maintenance environment to a lower one. So Hawaii is very expensive. So they're moving it away from Hawaii. So I got people buying in Georgia, Tennessee is actually Louisville, different cities around the country where the tech world is moving out of the Bay Area and it's moving around the country. So if you can get in front of the tech world moving around the country, there's a chance you're going to have appreciation. And then exchanging for expensive markets to higher cash flowing properties. Does anybody know where? Do you know what the cap rate here is? Anybody know?
The rent cap? I don't know. I think it's like 8%.
That's not bad. Yeah. We're closer to 3 to 4, 2 to 4 actually. Yeah. So we tell people I can't get you 5 or 6. I need to go somewhere else. If they want to do that, then I go find another place. Exchange land that's not generating income. If you have a client that has a vacant lot, is that vacant lot earning them income? No. It's a liability. Go find your vacant lot, you're going to get a listing, and then you're going to get a buy. Right? You're going to get a buy. Because a vacant lot's only a liability paying property taxes, it has no income. You sell that. I did that for a guy that his mom's house had to be torn down. It was just so badly. It was a vacant lot. And he had to go because the neighbors were complaining. He had to go every month to cut it. It's like, man, I'm going every month to cut it. I have no income off it. We sold it. We bought him in a condo. He nets out net now $2,200. Yeah.
So all vacant land, because you can't, you're not living on it. So it's all generating. So it's all subject to 1031.
It's an investment property.
Oh.
See, keep in mind though, now this is something that a lot of people don't understand is they think, well, I don't have any rental income. You don't need rental income. See, the IRS looks at it as future appreciation, right? Not cash flow. So your investment is for future appreciation. I'm holding it for future appreciation, which means it's an investment. So you don't have to live there. You can't live there, but you don't even have to have income. They don't ask you for your income. All they ask you is where you live. So it's not based on how much money is brought in from the investment property. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with where you live. As long as you can prove that you don't live there, you have a primary residence, it's an investment. Okay. Exchanging land is really important. Taking advantage of extremely low interest rates. Right now, interest rates are rising. It should be good. But it's the best time to buy out. So you sell an asset and let's say it's 500,000, you sell it, you buy 800,000, now you have a mortgage on 300. But the 500 was free. And you locked in at a low interest rate. So this is how we teach people how to build wealth. Because your biggest leverage is your low interest rate. Helping family out. We're going to talk really deep about that, creating a legacy. What are the benefits? You get to defer your capital gains tax. You have to apply all the proceeds where you'll be taxed on it. And it can involve multiple properties. You can sell 1 and buy 3, you can sell 3 and buy 1.
Well, and so you have to have all your proceeds and you can add to it, but it can't be less.
It can be less, but you're paying
But
tax.
then you pay taxes on
Yes.
less. Okay.
The most complicated one I have done, which gave me a lot of gray hair, was we sold 5 to buy 1. Now keep in mind, if you consolidate, timeframes start in the first closing. Yeah, yeah. That was a miracle too. I showed up a lot of money. I'm gonna write a book about this, but we had 5, we had 3 in Texas, 1 in Arizona, and 1 on Big Island. None of them.
And you're just like,
So the first one goes in, and I told the agent, make sure you let me know when it gets in escrow. They didn't let me know.
oh,
And then I find out later, we're closing. What do you mean closing? You didn't even tell me you're in escrow. So they're closing, and I didn't get the rest of the escrow. So I had to jam, because I had to get them all in the escrow, because it starts for 45 days from the first closing. So I found a replacement. I ended up tying up everything else. The weird story, I'll tell you the story, it's funny. I'm at a seminar and I get a phone call from this lady who's the buyer of one of my listings in, not even my listing, it's my client's property in Texas. That we have a listing as agent there. I won't say who it is, because it was horrible. The buyer called me and go, why are you calling me? Like, I'm not related to your transaction. But they said, oh, you know everything about this. Yeah, but I'm not related to this. Long story short, buyer couldn't close. This is the second of the 2 in Texas. And they couldn't close because her money was tied up in a bank. I said, so where's your bank? He said, it's on Maui. I said, why's your money in Maui for? He said, that's where I live. I live in Texas now. I go, that's bizarre. I gotta fly back to go get my money. So what do you mean you gotta fly back? Yeah, they won't wire it without me showing up. Person.
what?
I go, what? I said that too. They don't trust you. So, interestingly enough, when she called me the next day, I'm flying over to Maui to do a presentation in that bank.
Wait,
In that exact bank. It's true story. Talk about miracles.
There are no coincidences.
There are.
No, I forgot.
So I called the guy, I said, hey, dude, I'm coming over. By the way, thanks for setting up for the summer, but by the way, I need you to release this money. And so what we did was, we had her go to a bank there, get on a Zoom, and get her to show her driver's license, get somebody to authenticate it there. And then he accepted it. He said, I don't do this, but I'll do you a favor. And that's how they did it too. That was
Only 2 of 5.
a miracle. Like, so clear. Anyway, sorry about this story. There's too many times. Probably diversify your investments. Some people want different types of properties, right? Different areas. Consolidate. We have a lot of folks now are consolidating. They want to keep life simple. We got clients got 15 properties. They got 3 kids. So they want to help the kids out. So they're selling a bunch to buy one, selling a bunch to buy one, selling one. Well, planning ahead. And then allowing your kids to predetermine your inheritance. And we're going to talk about that. This is money. Anybody know what a Delaware statutory trust is?
Yes.
1, 2, very good. 3. Do you know people here that sell the DSTs?
Yes.
Great. You want to have a conversation with them. Let me tell you why. And I'm actually going to explain this whole model to you. So DST is kind of like a REIT, a real estate investment trust. It's acknowledged by the IRS as a replacement property. Okay. The reason why the DST is good is it's a great safety, right? Because if you fail to find something, you can always go into a DST. What is it? It's a number of properties they put together. It's like a real estate investment trust. Like I own one. I have what are mine? Colorado, North Carolina, South Carolina apartment. So it's a DST. It's yielding about 4% net of all fees now. That's not bad for saving. Net of all fees. The best part is you get appreciation on the out. See, they're going to hold that asset for 3 to 5 years. And the reason why they're going to sell it is because they make money on it. And the rate that they're making money on is 4 to 5% a year. Okay, so if you take 5 years out, now we're talking 20%. So at $1 million, you're walking out, you put in $1 million, you're walking out at 1.2. So the exit strategy is more important than the yield on a monthly basis. Anybody can get 4%, but not everybody's gonna have the asset appreciation. No hassles, no upfront costs. Move right into it. It's net money. Mine is generating 4.39%. I just got my statement the other day. Because I sold a property this time. Because I'm consolidating, I'm building a house and I want to keep my life simple.
How do you become an accredited investor?
Good question. I like your thinking. Accredited investor is that person, the person who's buying it, the investor. I think it's $2 million.
Okay.
And the financial planner has to be accredited too, right? Because not every financial planner does these. But it's a good safety net for a 1031 exchange. It's a great solution for people that don't want to manage property. They just want money. They just want money.
That's a question.
Yeah.
So if you do have a client that has a 1031 exchange situation, do you need to have, they have to connect with the 1031 company?
Yeah.
Is it best to kind of defer all things to them, like you are knowledgeable about it, but
You want to create a relationship with them.
okay.
Do you have an accommodator? You want to meet with them. I bring them in. If you want to really dive into the investment side, yeah, I bring them in. So the accommodator is the intermediary. So from the IRS standpoint, you're selling one or you're buying one, but you can't touch the money. Once you touch the money, you're going to tax it. So there's an accommodator, the intermediary, a 1031 exchange company that takes the money from the sale, they hold it, and then they buy the property. That's why it's preferred. So you do need one. We use a company here in California actually called Ccrc. I can introduce you to them, but in any state in America. All right. Okay, this is going to get a little complicated. Let me explain this. You're selling $1 million, and it's simple numbers, okay? We're selling $1 million asset. Before we sell it, though, we have $1 million asset. Before we sell it, we're going to take a HELOC, home equity line of credit.
Cash out what you can take, it's not gonna be taxed.
The HELOC is your best tool because why? You get cash with no tax. What other asset do you have that you can take money out and not tax on? Think about that. What other asset do you have? So you have people with wealth, people with money, people that have investment properties, and they're cutting coupons out because they don't have money. But they're sitting on a large asset, $500,000. They're sitting on that every day. And they're cutting coupons out. They're cutting that, right? But they don't realize that they have money sitting under them. What if they took the $500,000 out, and now they're making money? They put that into something. What if they put it just a DST? That money is generating $500,000. That's $20,000 a year of income. And how much does that cost you? 1 to 2%. The cost of the HELOC is lower than the return. So think of building wealth as there's going to be a cost of money, and that's going to be the rate that you borrow at. Then there's a rate that you make it, the money return at. And as long as you got a gap there, you're making money. And this is how we teach people, so today's world, people work for their money. How do you get your money to work for you? That's what we teach. Getting people's money to work for them versus them work for their money is a better route. Would you agree? That's one way to do it. It's a simple way to do it. You just play with money. You take $500,000 out. It costs you $10,000, but you're collecting 20. You made $10,000. You didn't do anything. Your money did it for you. How long would it take you to save $10,000? Because that's really what you're looking at.
So instead of going from selling the house and taking the money, the payout, you're taking the money out before you sell the house.
Yes.
And then paying back that HELOC, the sale.
Yes. So HELOC gets paid off at the sale, right? So when you sell it, now you have an asset, you're selling at $1 million, but you have $500,000 of debt, this one here, $500,000 of equity, right? You got a 50-50. You sell that, we do a 1031 exchange, you defer your capital gains tax. The DST, there's a DST that has a 50% loan to value with a non-recourse loan. A non-recourse loan says you don't pay it back. You don't have to get a mortgage on it. You don't have to fill an application on it. You do nothing. See, if you did a 1031 exchange and did this, you'd have to get a mortgage on the $500,000. DST, you don't. This particular model that we use, it's a 50% loan to value. So now you deferred your capital gains tax, you have $500,000 in your pocket, you're making $20,000 a year on the other $500,000. 4 to 5%, it's actually 3 to 5%. Some number of years later, it sells, but you've got an equity now that's grown from 500 to $200,000 growth, because you're looking at a 4% every year appreciation for 5 years. So you're walking out of this at a $1.2 million asset, and you walked into it at $1 million. You get $200,000 of appreciation, and you get $20,000 every year.
But again, then this is only for accredited investors that already have 2 million.
Yeah, this, you're not sharing this with anybody about $2 million. Okay. Again, the target's a low. But if you can find somebody like that and you show them this strategy, what do you think they're going to think of you?
Love
You're a
it.
freaking genius. You're an absolute genius. Yes.
Let's say that the last 2 steps you eliminated and you wanted to just get another property with like you had more equity, in the- you know, you
Yeah.
could do that other property.
Yeah, you can exchange into another property, but know that you're going to have to replace it then, which is fine. You get a mortgage on it. That's fine. You could definitely do that. You could even split it. You could do a partial DST and a partial investment too. It's in this sense, the real estate is divisible in how we liquidate it.
Dan, is that 2 million in cash or assets?
Oh, assets, which can include their home.
Oh, it can include their personal
Yes,
home?
yes.
And
Oh.
investment
Why?
property?
Because they're going to sell it at some point.
Okay.
I thought that, yeah.
That makes a lot more
Thank you.
sense.
I thought it was cash.
I thought it was just investment
Me too.
properties.
Me too.
No. Basically, the reason why the DST is structured that way is, and the reason why you don't hear it is the IRS doesn't allow it to be publicly advertised because it's not for everyone. So it has to be accredited investor, accredited advisor. So if you have an advisor, I'll teach you a plan to work with him. My guy pays a lot of money to get me leads because he knows I'm going to get him this. We just got seven calls in the last week listing appointments in 1 week from that mailing. Makes sense? Pretty wild, right?
Awesome.
The level of planning you can now get to is far more superior than anybody that's not in this room. Okay, CRTs, charitable remainder trusts. Anybody know what that is? We call them CRUT, if you want to sound like you're smart. CRT. A CRUT is a foundation. You have them here in New York City. Every large organization has a foundation. The University of Hawaii has assigned me to be one of their 2 realtors that will sell any property that was given to them as their realtor, because I understand. I know how this works. So wealthy adult, they have no heirs. They're thinking, you know what? What's the university here? University of Sacramento. It's like I went to UC Davis or Sac State. I went there. I really, I'm a fan of their baseball team, or I love their architecture department, or I love their whatever I have an affinity for. Wealthy people, money is good for the good it does. So you help them do good with it. People with a lot of money, and they die with all their money, what do they get? They get nothing. So if a wealthy person says, you know what, I don't know what to do, that is one solution to go into a charitable remainder trust. It's very similar to the returns of REITs, about 4%. The way it works is they're going to give that asset to the foundation. The foundation will then, they don't want the real estate. They want to turn it around. They're going to hire me to sell it for you. They're going to sell it. They're going to put that money into an instrument that generates 4 to 5%. That person who donated gets that money until they die. When they die, everything goes over to the foundation that they designate. That's how they feel good about it, because they're going to give it away. It's a plan giving instrument. It's a plan giving tool for the wealthy. Every organization, every large organization has one. And if you're interested, I would go find out what they do. Who sells their real estate? But it's just passive income. I mean, these leads are just gonna come. You're not gonna know, you're gonna get a call one day and say, hey, I got another one. I got another one. So, charitable interest.
Would this be good for someone to like represent a Native American tribe?
They have foundations. If that tribe gets donation, real estate donations. So you're going to anywhere who receives donations. Yeah, absolutely. Donor selected beneficiary, right? Get to pick my beneficiary. It's going to produce money. It's going to have a tax benefit because there's no capital gains tax. See, that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to have their money work for them for whatever means they want, but they just don't, they're really against taxes, as I am. So there's no capital. Again, helping the wealthy find solutions to their money, but their money is in their real estate. That's the thing that you benefit, is the selling of the real estate. Again, having a plan. So what can you do if your primary residence is greater than your tax exempt? Now, that may not be the case here, but let's just say it is. Let's say my gain is greater than $500,000. Let's say my gain is $1 million. Okay, let's just say. What happens to the rest of it? Well, you're going to pay capital gains tax. Unless there's a way you could do that, is divide it. You could do what we call a partial 1031 exchange. A partial 1031 exchange looks like this. If you had an asset that you lived in part of it, and the other part was vacant or family member, it has to have its own ingress and egress, and it has to be completely separate from your living area. As long as it's separate from your living area, you can do a partial 1031 exchange. What does that look like? Selling $1 million asset, husband and wife get $500,000. The investment side is now an investment. Now I got to do a 1031 exchange with this house. I pay zero capital gains. Zero. I eliminate it. So you have to find out. We actually help people reformat their homes to do this. We have to put walls up.
Oh, wow.
To do this. We restructure the home. Or we have them move into the smaller part of the house and then leave the other part for their family or rent it. So that you want to occupy the lowest part. Because depending on your tax situation. Yeah. So that's what we call a partial 1031.
So if your family lives in, like, let's just say the upstairs and you live downstairs, that upstairs you could consider as investment?
No, it has to have an in and
As
out.
long as, yes, as long as it has its own ingress and egress, separate from the downstairs.
Yeah.
If you got a stairs going up, then it's got to be boarded off. You got to build a stairs on the outside.
And if you can't modify, if you don't modify it, it's not considered investment.
No.
So you just pay for capital gains on that.
On the difference,
Oh, wow.
depending on the size of the gain, right? So that's why it starts. Remember, we started this whole thing about determining capital gains tax. Right? That's why we do that. We get a foundational base of information to be able to create strategies and options to help them build wealth.
Do you have to do a permit for that type of thing in Hawaii?
Yes. Yes. In most cases, yes.
Now, does IRS like send somebody out to check?
What we do, so that they never ever question it, is you take pictures of it. You show the entire, you do a video. You show that here's my space, here's the wall that's up, that I can't get to that side.
And does it have to be 50%?
No.
Oh, okay. So it could be,
80%.
okay.
So basically, let's say they take a 2,000 square foot, doesn't matter how much you use, it's a percentage of tiers.
Oh, perfect.
You just gotta calculate. So we did this for a senior, actually, believe it or not, this is bizarre, right? It's a miracle. My very first listing, I did this. Very first listing ever.
What?
Ever. I did this. Why? Because she's complaining about her capital gains tax. She was a single lady. She only gets 250,000. It was $1 million asset, right? She never lived downstairs, completely separate. She lived upstairs. So she took the 250 upstairs, and then downstairs we did a 1031 exchange. We bought her an investment property. She went to a CCRC, a continuing care retirement community that cost $0.5 million. She put the money from the sale into that, and then the balance of it for the investment, we bought her another condo, which I'm selling soon, that is generating money to pay for a monthly fee.
Wow.
It's how you use real estate, and to become the real estate planner, it's actually not that hard, to be honest.
Well, once you know this, so unless
Right.
new laws are made,
Absolutely,
legislation's passed.
absolutely. Should everybody learn this?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so. If you want to be in business for a while. Wait, this one. Okay. Any family fought over real estate? Why does that happen?
Greed.
And what can we do to prevent it? Well, it happens for a couple of reasons. One is people think that you put your property in a trust, it keeps you safe. And that's very true. It's safe from probate. It's not safe from your family. No, that can't help you, right? And you can't divide it. I have a clients that say, oh, man, don't worry, I'm gonna give it to my kids. I got 3 kids. I said, oh, okay, great. Do they all think alike?
Yeah,
No,
then
no.
what?
No, they'll deal with it later. How are they gonna deal with it? I don't know, they'll figure it out. What's that look like? Well, I don't know. What if you didn't know? Well, I guess they have to sell it. Do they all agree to sell it? They all agree when to sell it? They all agree which realtor is gonna sell it? Yeah.
Can you, as an individual, write that into a will at how it is going to be divided and
Oh, yeah.
all of
Oh, yeah.
that specifically?
Absolutely.
You write in who will sell it?
Like, do you recommend that people do? Like, how does that-
I've had 2 people put my name in their will, in the trust. Yeah. Because they said, when I'm gone, my kids aren't gonna know you, but they'll read it, they'll know you.
Yeah.
And I know you're the solution. So I got 2 people named me.
Well, yeah, and if they know after they're gone, you're gonna handle it the right way.
So it's a big deal. It's gonna happen. And how many of you guys get the obituaries in the newspaper? I'm sure you do. Look at that every once in a
I
while.
don't read their newspaper.
Well, your age, I would imagine.
Okay.
Nothing on paper, but he doesn't have any paper in front. Okay. But yeah, it's gonna happen more than. So the question is, do you want to be the solution to the family? Because it's really help that you give. You're trying to keep their family together. That's the whole point of this. And you get the beneficiary. Are we done?
I mean, it's such a mess when your parents die to begin with. It's like, why not plan and make it easier for the
Something went
family?
It's not.
I'm trying to get
What's that?
my parents to like get a trust and do all this stuff so that it's already gonna be sad enough when I lose my parents. I don't want to deal with all that. I want it to be
Here's the
planned
question.
out.
Do you know what happens if you don't have a trust?
probate.
What is probate?
They take your money.
Well, yes, yes, and what else happens?
Yeah.
The court is the one that decides basically.
Yes, and what else?
Cost, yeah.
Yes, and what else? Your life becomes public. Everything you own is open to the world to see.
Or the owner of the house after
The
they've died.
person who's going into probate, you're now public knowledge. Everything you own will be public knowledge. It has to be. They're gonna look for people that you owe money to. Yeah.
So that's
And-
paid out
and people-
before.
Well, and then people, that's the easy route.
Okay.
The hard route is, what if you have a lot of people that big? Yeah. So most people think probate's bad because of time and money, and those are very valid. The worst part of all of probate is because your life now becomes. The more money you have, the less you want that back. Now, if you don't have anything, it doesn't matter. But if you have wealth, yeah, you definitely do not. Your life. Because then people are gonna come out and try to get it. Oh, he promised me this money, or they're gonna make up stuff to get your money. Because that's where the vultures show up. And the probate. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna roll into creating a legacy. So classic example, mom dies, dad dies, and then the property just gets given to the kids, and then they fight, right? That's common. So what if dad died, now mom's a widow, and mom says, yeah, I heard there's a way I can plan ahead. I know there's a way I can plan it, so let's go do that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna sell the investment property, right? Not the primary residence, this is the investment. You're gonna sell the investment property, you're gonna buy 4. You're gonna buy 1 per child. And the reason why that works well is now you're letting your kids to predetermine their inheritance. You're engaging your family into a future legacy that you're creating for your kids and your grandkids. Because I talked to a guy the other day at the regional meeting, and he says, I was explaining this to him. He said, oh, Dan, no, I got this figured out. I got 3 properties, I got 3 kids, I'm done. Cool. I agree. Let me ask you a question. Who gets to pick which properties they get?
Yeah, are they all worth the same amount of money?
He goes, what do you think of that? Absolutely. You're still gonna have a fight. Because the best property, guess what? Everybody wants it. And only one's gonna get it.
Well, the best kid.
Right? Yeah. Resentment, that's it. So what if you completely eliminated resentment, completely eliminated family dispute by getting them engaged into the process? I say to them, we're gonna come in a meeting, we're gonna sit together and hear how the rules go. We're gonna sell this property, we're gonna sell it for X, and each of you are gonna have this much money to buy into something. You can buy more if you'd like, you can take a mortgage on the rest, and you'll have an interest in that percentage that you're putting into it. The rest mom's gonna own. And she's gonna own it until she dies. And when she dies, you're gonna get it tax-free. That's, you guys wanna play, absolutely. The one we sold 5 properties, we had another one, we sold 5 properties, and we bought 3. Bought 2 in Hawaii, and we put 1 into a DST. One was in Oregon, because the daughter moved out of Hawaii because it was too expensive. Another one was a condo in town because the daughter wanted a bigger place to live, so we sold a condo. Bought it for him. The last kid just wanted money. So he got money. He put it into DST. But the biggest thing is she didn't want to have to worry about it. Because they don't like each other now. Just think of later.
Yeah, when money's on the table.
When money's on the table, it's gonna be ugly. I got 3 clients today that their parents passed away, and these clients are in their 60s and 70s. And these clients are now not speaking to each other except through an attorney. So they're spending all of mom's inheritance to pay for an attorney because mom didn't plan well. How common is this? So common.
It's just sad.
But what if you could change the world? What if you could change the trajectory of that family to fighting to loving, caring? Change the way that people show up at the funeral. Because I've seen it both ways. I've seen it where they won't talk, and I see it where they love each other. And it's horrible to see the difference. You have the power to help them. You have the power now to help them create a legacy, to help people pre-plan and predetermine their inheritance through this process. When mom dies, each of the kids already know what they're getting. There's no argument. And the liquid cash floats over the top because not all these are going to be the same price. They will, when mom dies, all these will get appraised at it. Whatever value it is, the cash floats over it and equalizes. Everybody gets paid to the penny. How do you fight when everything's equal? When you're the solution, when you engage the kids for that solution. Here's another question. What does the family now think of you?
Yeah, I created it.
I'm not going anywhere without you. I'm not going anywhere without you. Yeah. I'm not going to make any decision of real estate without you. Because you've helped me do things that nobody else could do.
We have plans for life and referrals and
We're the real
pass it
kids.
down.
Everybody getting old. so-
Generation.
Yeah.
Generational.
It's awesome.
Okay, I'm going to switch gears. This is a little interesting. I want you to get into the head of the type of sellers you're going to use. There's 3 types of sellers. There's one of sound mind, there's one incapacitated, and one that's deceased. It's slow, but maybe it's. There we go. It's coming. It's coming. Trust me. Okay. Of the sound mind, people with sound mind, they're going to have a number of things. They're going to have a trust attorney. They're going to have a trustee of their trust, right? Most of the time, it's a family member. Most of the time, it's the most responsible. Many times it's the oldest, sometimes not. Sometimes the trustee is not a family because they don't trust their family or they don't have family. Right? So what if you knew where those people were? Right? Financial planner and CPA. These people will bring you business because they're of sound mind now. And while you're talking to them, one of my first questions, I ask them all these questions. Who's your trust attorney? Who's your CPA? Who's your financial planner? Because there's a good chance I know them. And that brings strength in our relationship that I know somebody that they know. Oh yeah, I know John, I'll give him a call tomorrow. It just solidifies your stature in front of them. And then you have the incapacitated, who also has a trust attorney, who also has a trustee, a financial planner, CPA, but they can also have a state guardian server. They're incapacitated. They can't make decisions on their own. So either they have a trust, they have a trustee handling it, or if they don't have a trust, it's going to the state guardian and server. And lastly is the deceased, which will have all of these unless they don't have a trust. If they don't have a trust, it's going to probate. Then you need to find a personal representative. So when the probate goes, when the case goes to the judge in the probate court will assign a personal representative. Sometimes it's a family, sometimes it's an attorney. What if you could find those guys? What if you could find personal representatives? Those who make decisions on the assets of the deceased. Because when somebody dies, that property will be sold at some point. 9 out of 10 times it'll be sold within 6 months. Now, how do you build a senior market network? It's really simple. It looks like this. On the healthcare side, you look at healthcare, other providers, financial, legal, and trade and professional. On the healthcare side, on the public side, you have the Office of Public Guardian, you have an Elderly Affairs Division, and Adult Protective Services. On the private healthcare side, you got retirement communities, case managers, gerontological associations, and long-term care associations. When I got into this business, I said, I'm going to go all in. I was the only realtor in the Hawaii Pacific Gerontological Society, which I speak at. I'm the only person for the Financial Planners Association, and the only realtor at the Long-Term Care Association. Why? Because I want to understand it better. And then people will ask me questions. Other providers, moving companies, declutter companies, contractors, repairmen, these guys are going to get in front of somebody selling. Older people need this help because their family's not doing it, they're not doing it themselves. Legal and financial services, on the financial planners are the number one. We'll get, I would say maybe 570. CPAs, private bankers, wealth managers. So I got a question for you. In Sacramento, where do the wealthy keep their money? In a bank? Who do they see?
Out of town.
Huh?
Out of town.
Out of town?
Man,
Wealth managers?
financial plan.
Yeah.
Financial.
Yeah. So you don't want to find the young guys. You want to find the old guys. Young guys don't have old clients. So find the most seasoned guys out. Yeah. Oh, here's my script. Hey, Bob, Rob, my name is Dan. I'm a realtor. You're a financial planner. You know, we have a lot of older clients. When they sell their home, they don't have any. Are you looking to build your business? We'd like to spend a few minutes to have coffee, lunch one day. We'd love to learn more about your business, and maybe I can share a little bit about it. At 100% closing ratio. That's why I met him in the industry. People know me because I spent time. Think about it this way. Does everybody eat lunch every day? What do you eat with? What if your wherever turned to an intention? What if you spent your time intentionally saying, 3 days a week, I'm going to intentionally have lunch with somebody that's going to help me build my business? What if? That's what I did. And it worked. I built a network. Wills and trusts, estate planning and probate attorneys. And then trade and professional, we got the healthcare industry, the senior living industry, legal, banking, professional. I even do senior clubs. You guys got Lions clubs here? Lions clubs. You know, all these senior clubs, believe it or not, they need speakers. Every time they meet, they want to get speakers. So they call. If you know, if you have information that is of value. Why isn't everybody else doing it? Because if it was easy, everyone would. It's not. You know, agents don't really understand the importance of this market. This market is, see, most people see seniors as they're slow, they're cumbersome, they're forgetful, and that's very common. And it's very true, to be honest with you. Very true. I love that. Okay. But if you approach it in a different manner about servanthood, about caring for somebody and having solutions, you don't feel any better. You can't feel any better helping someone. They don't know where to start. Agents don't know where to start. They don't know how to approach it. Or they just don't care. No, I know you guys care. That's right here. So position yourself as the expert. You know, you want to be the resource. You want to understand your legal and financial. That's the first step. You understand it. You want to understand their financial family dynamics. So when I talk to people, I ask questions about the long term. I ask questions about the patient. Then I ask questions about their family. Tell me about your kids. What are their names? How old are they? Where do they live? How often do you see them? That's on my listing. Because how do I create a plan if I don't know what they want to do with their kids? It's about passing generational wealth, right? And so who's that? I had a guy come to me. He says, well, I got Susie. Oh, she's a doctor. And I got Johnny. Yeah, Johnny's doing really well in his job. And then I got my other son. I go, oh, tell me about your other son. Well, yeah, we don't talk much. Oh, okay. So what's your plan? Well, you know, when I die, everything's going to go to these two. I said, oh, okay, that sounds logical. I'm sure you have a reason for that. Let me ask you a question. When you're gone, you want your kids to love each other? He said, of course I do. I said, you're creating an environment such that that's not going to work well for you because you're going to create resentment. You're going to create a problem that you're gone and you just created for your kids. The ones that you love, the two that you gave me their name.
Yeah, it still creates a problem for them.
What are you doing for them? Are you serving them well or are you not? And he goes, you know, Dad, I'm doing fine. Yes, I am. So what if you can change the trajectory of these families, and the life, and their legacy? What if? You know, understand the dynamics, help them find their next home, help them facilitate the move, get them ready for sale, sell it, which is the case for the long-term care plan or creating a legacy. What would your business look like if you became the real estate planner? Well, seniors, they had a lot of old money. Old money means they didn't create it this year. They built it over the decades and generations of them living, compounding interest. Most of these investors own more than one property. Right? So we got more than one sale. Wouldn't you rather have 4 to 5 sales from one contact versus 5 sales and 5 contacts? That's what you're doing. And a 1031 exchange allows you to have at least 2 deals for every client, minimum, many times more. And you get to be the resource for financial planners, private bankers, trust attorneys. Be known as a real estate planner. What do you think about being known as a real estate planner?
It's up to your part. I love it.
Yes. This is my beautiful wife. She's not with me this trip, but she's going to New York because my son is coming. And our mission is to honor God by serving others with the highest level of competency, uncompromising. Now, what I'd like to do is, can you guys review us? Can you guys see that? Do me a big favor. I need only 5-star reviews. Anything less than that, don't even shoot your camera. But if you promise. Yeah, we would love to learn more about what you got out here. The other thing is I'm working with KW to hopefully build another division called KW Seniors. And I don't know if we're going to get traction on it, But from my first conversations, it's promising.
So that one more time, miss that.
So KW seniors, I'm in conversations with powers of be, KW to starting a division, KW military, KW seniors, that I can coach and train to this on a national basis and dive deeper. This was like the first introductory course, but I would dive into every one of those topics independently. And have a.
Sorry. That's right. Yeah.
So if you would, and there's a question, would you sign up? Appreciate that.
You're amazing, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. I want all. I want to do all of these things.
I want to be you when I.
Yeah,
grow up.
can we just do that? Yeah.
Any questions while we're in the QR? Does it work by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so when you guys started, did you just start going to these financial planners and just trying to appointments?
Yeah.
Was that the way you started?
Phone call. Well, I actually found people that knew a financial planner and they said, hey, Johnny said to give you a call. He said you're a great financial. And my goal in your call is to find out, what your value proposition is. I have a lot of clients, they're selling their homes. They got to put their money somewhere. And many of our clients, they don't have a financial. So are you open to doing your business? Everybody raises their hand. Same thing with trust attorneys, same thing. I have clients that don't have it, their property in trust. And they should. Yeah, they should. Okay, well, I'd love to learn your value proposition. Same thing. Does it work on the screen?
Yeah, it should work.
It's a little light.
More.
So I have to
Oh,
like
use the
super
light.
light.
Oh, it's too light.
Yeah.
There's another
Can you
one
click
here.
on it?
Can I see the slide where you have your phone number and
Asking on-
contact information, Dan?
Say that again, Alita?
Can you turn the slide back to the part that has your contact information? Thank you.
Sure.
Come right
There's
here.
one on this either. Yeah.
We have some gifts to give away. How are we gonna give that away? Random for those who are here? Anybody else?
All right, yeah. So how do you want?
I've got chocolate macadamia. Loan from
How
Hawaii.
many Weight Watchers points are those?
A billion.
Guava, ginseng, all natural.
Oh, yeah.
Or not.
Less calories, smaller containers.
Yes. How do we give these away, John?
We can do a bowl. Everyone put their cards in, or you can ask questions and the first one to answer.
Oh, my
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Do the boy. I love the quick-
Do you want to be in there? Put your-
Yeah,
put
you
the card
got
up.
a card,
Card.
or write it on a piece of paper, put your contact information.
I will actually hold it for you guys.
Thank you.
Look at that, Stephen T.
A senior helping seniors.
Old school, right?
Old school, all day long.
Now, they put this slide on because I'm really bad with selfies, so they're telling me I gotta take a selfie.
Oh,
How do we do that? We can.
with all of us?
Yeah.
You can do it.
Oh, you got it? Okay. It's heavy.
How do we do it? Where we get everybody?
We have to get everybody. Let's do the drawings and then we'll do something.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do the drawings and afterwards, we're gonna do a group selfie with Dan, okay? Up front. All right, so everyone stick around. We're gonna do a group selfie with Dan afterwards.
I'll let you.
Read surf lessons?
Oh. Your referrals.
The video didn't work. There's a video on that. Well, maybe not.
When you went to the end, press back. Can you go back? Sorry, just a minute.
And maybe the video they took out. So we give free surf lessons for every referral. And if you really want, you get the 25% referral too. Nice.
If you really want.
Yeah, I was saying-
You don't have to pick that, but
Do we have to go find a Take the surf lessons. or
Oh,
get-
yeah. You're only gonna get surf lessons. Actually, the video had the 4 guys, my 2 sons and my operations guy there.
Are you ready to have some press up?
Okay, you want to get the card in?
What?
Last call for cards.
Each card is full.
Where's your piece of paper? That's-
But it's better, it's from Hawaii.
All right.
Wait a minute, you got one more, you got one more.
Whoa.
What? All right.
X on the back.
Yeah, put an X just because that's Stephen G. Webb, but you know.
What's it up? Where's the card?
I know, I just gave my last one away yesterday.
All right, what's going first?
Okay. Oh, wait, what's the first one? Something covering macadamia.
All right, I'll come back to you.
So you guys can talk to them again, yeah.
Alicia.
Alicia.
Jim, Guava Jim C.
Manifest video with it. No, me.
Helen.
Hello.
And the last is the 15 pieces. Steven.
I'll share, Old school, all day long.
From now on. I love it.
Everybody's here. You can pass it around.
All right, everyone come up, we're doing our group photo.
Oh, yeah, let's do a group photo.
Put the sticker on it.
That's it.
Group photo.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, it's gonna be like that.
I know, right?
That's gonna be a while.
Take a while, we gotta
Yeah, you're short. You're short with me. Get in.
Come on.
Hey, nobody move until I tell you, okay?
All right, we're not gonna move until you tell us.
1, 2. Stay there. So wait.
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 Hang loose. No wiggly wiggly. Hang loose.
Oh, crap. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Silly face. Okay, don't move. Oh, the video.
Oh, there.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, sweet, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take care.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I've seen you on Zoom.
When did you come?
I went in August.
I feel good, so I need to putting it up.
We have our.
I work. Exactly.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Great. Family never came out. Not to help me. I'm like, here's exactly what I feel like.
We're like, oh yeah, there's a lot. Never been. And I 3 mile radius. You know what I like? And this is really. I know. Yeah. I'm really interested in. That's why you asked about that insurance.
Like, don't share that because all of our sons.
Oh, okay.
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 Take everybody else.
Sorry, open it's like right away.
That's me too.
I know it's from the nice. Even though.